Marlene just croaked.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back.
Welcome back to the world's favorite podcast. Number one in the universe.
Yeah, there's all those podcasts in the other galaxies in the universe you've been hearing. They're nothing compared to us.
Yo, they suck.
This is What's Your Favorite Scary Story?
Welcome.
I'm Alyssa.
I'm Marlene.
And welcome back.
Welcome to the podcast where you are the beautiful listener that sends in the weekly suggestions.
And let's just get it out of the way. Where are they sending those to?
You can send them to whatsyourfavoritescarystory@gmail.com or
send us a message on Instagram, which is also going to be at What's Your Favorite Scary Story.
So recently, yesterday, we got our lights. I had this electrician come through so he can put like dimmers in our lights, and we almost had another technical difficulty this week. Apparently, I don't know if we're too close to the switch,
or at least like my microphone is literally right next to it,
or maybe it's the frequencies that the lights are in now, but there's just like this low buzzing noise, and we couldn't figure it out, and I figured it out.
Very smart particle of her.
But now we're recording in the dark,
which is great. It adds to the spooky vibes, and I'm here for it.
All right.
Guess what?
What?
It's about to snow. How many more minutes?
Oh, let me check. Now it says now.
Oh, now? Oh,
yeah.
It's snowing right now?
According to this, it's snowing. I can't see, though, because we're...
Okay, well, we'll be right back. We have to check on that.
Yes.
Of course. I had to keep that in. I tripped.
Yeah, you did.
But there's no snow yet.
Not yet.
Better
I'm
come.
I'm just like excited for it.
Me too.
But yeah, so we almost had technical difficulties. Fixed it.
Thank goodness, so y'all didn't have to wait another extra day again for an episode.
Yeah, but no Conjuring updates.
Okay.
Nothing really going on yet, or anything new, I guess. But I have
life's just life, and
I have are there any updates? Do you have anything that happened?
I don't think so. I'm just getting through it, going to work, coming home from work,
crying,
living the dream. It's been great. Okay, let's just do the podcast, I think, maybe.
yeah no, I don't have any updates like besides that either. It's mid-February, it's after Valentine's Day,
coming up on St. Patty's.
Yeah, I guess
this is just like a really boring time.
It is. The beginning of the year usually is like slow and kind of wacky.
Everyone's all like exhausted and full from the holidays. We're all just kind of getting back into things.
Yeah, I guess so. But hopefully it snows tonight. No work tomorrow.
I'm manifesting it 100%.
Yeah, so if you're listening, I hope we're not working.
When you're listening. All right, let's do your fact.
Not so fun facts with marbles. So I don't have a fact this week. I decided to do a quick little scary story junior. Not really scary story, but an interesting one. One where it's a little... How about I just talk about it?
That sounds like a good idea.
So it's called The Silent Twins.
Ooh.
June and Jennifer were identical twins born in 1963 in Wales. From an early age, they were inseparable, but they were also silent. They refused to speak to anyone except each other, using a secret language only they understood.
I've heard about this one too.
Teachers, doctors, and even their own parents were baffled, and the girls moved in complete synchronizations, mirroring each other's movements and thoughts. If one refused to eat, the other would as well. If one spoke, the other would remain silent. It was as if they were two halves of the same person.
Dang.
But as they grew older, their behavior became more disturbing. They would isolate themselves in their bedroom, creating an eerie world of dark stories, obsessive diary entries, and violent...
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. I 100% thought you were going to say excessive diarrhea. I was going to be so confused.
And violent fantasies. They began committing crimes, starting with petty theft, but escalating to arson. They were eventually caught and sent to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric facility. There, their strange bond grew even darker. They would tell doctors that one of them had to die so the other could live a normal life.
Oh my God.
So then something chilling happened. In 1993, after nearly 12 years in the hospital, they were finally being transferred to a lower security facility. But on the bus ride there, Jennifer suddenly collapsed onto her sister's shoulder, and she was rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead at age 29. So, a cause was the sudden inflammation of the heart. There was no drugs.
At 29?
No foul play. She just died, basically.
Oh my God. Okay, I have heard of this story, but I don't really remember much, from their adulthood. Oh my God.
They believed that one of them, the twins believed that one of them had to die for the other to be free, and Jennifer agreed to make the sacrifice. So after Jennifer's death, June spoke freely for the first time in her life, and she would tell reporters, "We had a pact. One of us had to go." And June went on to live a quiet life. She never explained why Jennifer had to die, but she never denied that they had planned it. And to this day, no one fully understands their bond, the language, or why the sister passed away on the exact day that they were freed. So where's Jennifer's body now is in Haverford West Cemetery in Wales. Her twin sister June. The grave has an inscription chosen by the twin sister June, saying, "We once were two, we two made one. We no more two, through life be one. Rest in peace."
God.
So after, the death, June was released from the hospital, and she went to live a quiet life, basically, and she rarely spoke publicly about what happened, but seemed to finally find some sense of peace. But the mystery of why Jennifer died remains unsolved, and some believe that she willed herself to die, fulfilling the pact that they had made. But others think that she probably just had a medical
condition.
A condition that was never found, yeah. But one thing certain is that June has lived on just how they had always planned. And that's the story. Quick story of the Silent Twins. And I chose it because when I read it, I was kind of unsettled. I don't like this ending. Why is it so eerie?
Do you think that they were somehow just one soul that somehow got separated into two bodies or something?
Yeah.
Like that.
I think that makes sense.
It's insane. What I remember from it is they had their own language, and they would literally at all times be in their room. They would have their meals brought to their room. They would not come down for lunch or dinner.
Yeah, they were just completely on their own.
That's crazy.
But yeah, there's no explanation, no closure. It's just a puzzle. And
it's definitely an unsettling story.
It is unsettling because it's okay, so what happened? And it's
was it worth it, June? I hope June's happy. My God.
Well, yeah, I'm sure she is.
Okay.
My thing is that it's okay, so what? What? Now what, dude? Nothing, because there's nothing. It just is.
It's wild.
And it's it's strange. It's almost uncomfortable for me.
Because there isn't any reasoning. She's not oh, one of us needs to die because this and this and this is what was meant to be. She's that's just what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else to say for it.
Hey, some strange things in life just don't require answers, Yeah. It just is. I still don't like it, though. I need answers.
I would say that's not so fun.
Yeah.
Way to live up to your name, babe.
If I left you unsettled,
yeah, you've done your job.
I've done my job.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
Good story, Junior.
Are you gonna be able to see
I'll figure it out. All right. Well, I guess let's get right into my story then.
Because we got a soccer game to watch.
Yeah, we've got T-minus, 33 minutes?
33, yeah.
What?
Yeah, 33.
There you go.
Let me just check if it's snowing.
I will move.
I will, because you almost fell last time.
All right. She went to go see if it was snowing. It's not.
It's not.
Yet.
Eat.
Okay. Oh, we haven't had our ASMR. What was I thinking?
Let's see. If you absolutely hate ASMR, I'm very sorry. Ooh.
Okay, so.
I'm so out of breath. Sorry.
It's okay, I get it.
Okay.
Okay. This week's topic was suggested by Jamie from North Carolina.
Jamie.
Very big thank you to Jamie. Oh, look, Binks.
Binks has arrived.
Arrived.
He has a ribbon.
Binks has a ribbon. So Jamie suggested the story of the missing Sodder children.
I don't like that name.
Yeah, well, that's
Sodder?
it. Like
not soldering?
No, it's like Sodder.
Sodder. Oh.
Not like soldering a piece of metal.
Right. I was like, damn, this is gonna be dark.
No, we are not soldering children. All right, so we are in Fayetteville, West Virginia. The year is
West Virginia.
The year is 1945.
Roads,
It's December.
take me home.
And the Sodder family is getting ready to celebrate Christmas.
And Sodder Christmas.
Yes. So the Sodder family consists of parents, George and Jenny, and their children, John, Joseph, Mary, George Jr., Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, Betty, and Sylvia.
Jeez.
And then, I guess they did have one more son named Michael, but he was born after like all of this happened, and sadly he did not live past a year old.
One more son. One more son. All right.
So, on Christmas Eve, the family was enjoying their night together in the house, and they went to sleep like normal.
The husband definitely had some fun time in Sodder.
Oh my god. Sodder? I barely know her.
Okay, go.
Oh no. This is another sad story, by the way.
Fuck. All right.
So around 1 a.m., a fire broke out. George, the father, was going through the whole house trying to save all of his children, obviously. He even broke through a window, like trying to get back into the house to save more kids. And he like sliced a piece of skin off of his arm and everything, like in that process.
Some George jerky.
Oh my god. We're gonna have to like stop joking about this story.
Oh, I'm so
because
sorry.
this
I'm
gets
so sorry.
bad. So George could not see anything on the first floor through all of the smoke and fire. He knew that 2-year-old Sylvia, 16-year-old George Jr., 17-year-old Mary, and 23-year-old John were all safe outside. So he figured the rest of his children were still upstairs in the burning house. This would include 5-year-old Betty, 8-year-old Jenny, which by the way, there's like 2 kids named after mom and dad, but they're like not the firstborn of like the sons and daughters. They're just random middle kids that got to be named
and they're
after
like,
the parents.
Our parents can only afford 5 names.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. 8-year-old Jenny, 9-year-old Louis, 12-year-old Martha, and 14-year-old Maurice. Joseph was the only Sodder child not there that night, and that's because he was fighting in World War II. So obviously George wanted to go rescue the rest of his children upstairs, but the problem was that the entire staircase was engulfed in flames.
Damn.
But he remembered that he always kept a ladder on the side of the house. So he rushed outside to try and go in through the upstairs windows. He ran over there, but the ladder wasn't there. So then he thought of driving his 2 like coal trucks up to the house and climbing on top of them to get into the house. Neither of them would start.
Jeez, this is all
And
sus.
they like, even though they worked perfectly fine literally the day before.
Nah, this is sus.
At this point, he figured he should try to put the fire out. He ran over to a rain barrel, but it was frozen solid.
Jeez.
I mean, it was winter in
Right.
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
So I guess that like kind of makes sense.
Country roads.
That was beautiful. So during all of this chaos, Mary, the oldest daughter, ran over to the neighbors to call the fire department, but couldn't get any operator response because they were still like using operators back then.
Jeez.
Yeah, no cell phones.
Is this like the, hello, can you transfer me to the fire
Yep.
department? Oh,
Hold,
dang.
please. So I guess another neighbor saw the fire and they made a call from a nearby tavern, but they also couldn't get an operator response. So finally, this same neighbor drove into town and literally tracked down the fire chief. So this fire chief then initiates Fayetteville's version of a fire alarm. It is basically a phone tree system where one firefighter calls another firefighter, and then that one calls another firefighter, and so on and so forth. And
Oh, I think I
that's
know. Yeah.
how they get their firefighters to the scene. So the fire department was only 2.5 miles from the Sodder home, but the crew did not arrive until 8 a.m.
What
I remember
heck?
the fire started at 1 a.m.
Right.
So after 7 hours, the
whole
house
place is gone.
The house was obviously just like a smoking pile of ash.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, that's the bad part about then is that, like, even for emergencies, it's just, you're just screwed, you know?
Like weren't there supposed to be... I guess that's... Like, because they couldn't get through an operator, but isn't there, like, a fire department where, like, didn't they sleep at the fire department if they were, like, on duty?
Yeah, but what if they're not that close?
They were 2.5 miles from the house.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and so it's like, if there's people at the fire department, like, wouldn't the fire chief just call the fire department? I don't know how it worked in 1945.
Yeah, no, maybe he couldn't, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, George was never able to get back inside and upstairs to look for the rest of his children. So George and Jenny obviously assumed that 5 of their kids had just been killed in a fire. But when the crew searched the grounds, there were no human remains found.
What?
However, the fire chief did suggest that the blaze was hot enough to completely cremate the bodies.
Dang.
Like all of them. Like every
Like
piece.
down to the bone.
Right.
Through the bone.
Yeah. So a state police inspector came by and attributed the fire to faulty wiring. Just before the new year, the coroner's office issued 5 death certificates for the children, listing the causes as fire or suffocating.
Jeez.
George covered the basement with 5 feet of dirt, intending to preserve the site as a memorial. But after a while, the Sodder family started to have questions. Okay, so fast forward really quick to 1976, about 30 years. The oldest Sodder daughter,
Hey, no laughing.
I'm sorry, Mary, she was interviewed by the Raleigh Register, a newspaper, and was quoted saying, "During the fire, I kept watching the windows, but I never saw even one of the children. I never smelled burning flesh. They say you can smell burning flesh miles away, but I never did." Okay, so back to the 1940s. So while the family was planting flowers among the space where their house once stood, the Sodder family started to think about the events leading up to the fire. A few months before it happened, a stranger came to the house asking about work to do. Like, he was a hauler, like he would haul things away, and so he was asking about work.
Like a trash guy, kind of?
Yeah.
1-800-TRASH?
Yeah, that was his phone number, but I mean, you have to get an operator before you can even reach him. So that's why he goes door to door, you know. So he made his way to the back of the house somehow, I guess, as they were talking, and pointed to the 2 separate fuse boxes and said, this is going to cause a fire someday.
Okay.
George thought this was kind of an odd and random comment.
Yeah, a little sus.
A little weird to say. But especially because he had just had the wiring checked by the local power company, and they said it was in fine condition. Around the same time, another man tried to sell the family life insurance. George respectfully declined, and the man became aggressively upset and said, "Your goddamn house is going up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed. You are going to be paid for the dirty remarks you have been making about Mussolini."
What the heck?
Okay, so now, George had immigrated from Italy when he was 13, and he was very outspoken about how much he hated Mussolini and would get into heated arguments with the people in his Italian community he had made there in Fayetteville. So that's like where that stranger's comment came from.
With the
like
your house is gonna burn kind of thing?
I'm sure he's like heard about the things George has said and whatnot. That is a very specific comment.
Right. And if you don't know, Mussolini was a dictator in Italy.
Right.
I mean, it's World War II. If you know World War II, you know, Mussolini, the Hitlers, and there's something else.
And there's something else, you're right.
Yeah, the Axis powers. Was it the Axis powers?
It's okay. They can look it up.
Yeah.
This isn't a history podcast.
Okay.
But yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to educate.
It's okay. We
I'm
have a
so
soccer game
sorry.
to go watch, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so really weird comment from a really weird guy. Now, just before Christmas Eve, other family members remember noticing a man parked in a car intently watching the younger children as they came home from school. No, sir. All right, so just after midnight on Christmas, so like less than an hour before the fire started, the phone rang in the Sodder house. The mom, Jenny, answered it, and an unfamiliar female voice asked for an unfamiliar name that Jenny didn't know. There was also a bunch of laughter and glasses clinking in the background. So Jenny told the caller she had the wrong house and hung up. So I guess the police did actually question that woman on the phone, and she said she simply just dialed the wrong number. That's all the information we have on that.
Sure.
So Jenny was tiptoeing back to bed, and while doing so, noticed that all of the downstairs lights were on, and the curtains were still open, and the front door was unlocked. She saw Mary asleep on the couch in the living room, and assumed all of the other kids were asleep upstairs in their beds. The cats just ran in together, all cute. And then she turned out the lights, closed the curtains, locked the door, and returned to her room. She just started to fall asleep again when she heard a sharp, loud bang on the roof and then a rolling noise. About a half hour later, she was woken up again, this time by heavy smoke curling into her room.
Yeah, if you hear something on your roof,
it's probably not Santa.
And why wouldn't you go check? Like,
or
I
like
get
wake
it.
your husband up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm waking you up.
Yeah, and I'd want you to wake me up.
Yeah.
So I can grab my gun.
You mean Arlo's Nerf gun?
Yeah.
Just shoot him in the eye. We'll be good.
Sure. That gun.
So, Jenny just really couldn't wrap her head around the fact that 5 children could be burned in a fire and leave absolutely no trace. No bones, nothing. So she decided to conduct some experiments. She burned animal bones, chicken bones, beef joints, pork chop bones, to see if they would burn up in the fire. But each time, she was left with a pile of charred bones. She also remembered that there were multiple household appliances that not only survived the fire, but were identifiable afterwards.
That's crazy. She's like conducting her own investigation.
Yeah, she lost 5 of her kids. Like, she's...
And like, there's no investigation. That's what's weird to me. Like, no investigation. It's just like, oh, rip to you, you know?
Yeah, sorry. Jenny even went to a crematorium for answers, and an employee there informed her that bones still remain after bodies are burned for 2 hours at 2,000 degrees. The family's house was reportedly destroyed in 45 minutes.
Dang. Nah, that's sketch.
To add to the family's suspicions, a telephone repairman told them that their lines weren't burned, but cut.
Fuck.
Also, the family realized that if the cause of the fire was faulty wiring, like it was reported, then the power would have been out. But all of the lights downstairs were on during the entire fire. Now, a witness came forward claiming he saw a man at the scene of the fire taking a block and tackle that's like used for removing car engines. Like a block and tackle, I guess, is like a pulley thing with like a rope and like a metal doohickey.
Yeah, kind of like a claw, but not a claw.
Yeah, it's like used to lift heavy things. In this case, I guess this one's used for car engines. But remember, George's coal trucks wouldn't start that night.
The engines were gone.
I mean, that wasn't revealed, which I don't know why that wasn't included. But the man in question actually pleaded guilty to stealing the block and tackle, but he denied any involvement in the fire. Dang. Which I guess like we're just taking people's word. I don't know. So a few days after the fire, the Sodder family was visiting the site, and the youngest child, Sylvia, found a hard rubber object in the yard. It ended up being a napalm, or pineapple bomb, the kind that's used in warfare.
What the heck?
Remember, Jenny heard a loud thud on the roof and a rolling sound just before the fire. Wonder what that was. So now come the sightings.
The sightings?
A woman claimed to see the deceased children, in a passing car while the fire was in progress. Another woman operating a tourist stop between Fayetteville and Charleston, West Virginia, about 50 miles from the Sodder house, said she saw them the morning after the fire, and she served them breakfast. Wow. She also noted that there was a car with Florida license plates there too. Another woman said she saw 4 of the 5 children a week after the fire. This was her statement to local authorities. The children were accompanied by 2 women and 2 men, all of Italian extraction. I do not remember the exact date. However, the entire party did register at the hotel and stayed in a large room with several beds. They registered about midnight. I tried to talk to the children in a friendly manner, but the men appeared hostile and refused to allow me to talk to these children. One of the men looked at me in a hostile manner. He turned around and began talking rapidly in Italian. Immediately, the whole party stopped talking to me. I sensed that I was being frozen out, and so I said nothing more. They left early the next morning.
Dang.
So sketchy.
Yeah, so frustrating too, because like you literally had him there
for like
you can't do
people.
Anything. Yeah, like to not realize until after.
Right.
Yeah,
it's wild.
It's frustrating for them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so in 1947, George and Jenny sent a letter to the Federal Bureau of Investigation asking for help on their case because, like, the fuck? This is all, like, super sus. Well, J. Edgar Hoover, the agency's director, wrote back and said, although I would like to be of service, the matter related appears to be of local character and does not come within the investigative jurisdiction of this bureau.
Jeez.
So Hoover's agents actually said they would assist if they could get permission from the local authorities, but the Fayetteville Police and Fire Departments declined the offer.
No, that's sketch.
Like, bro, why? What was their reasoning?
Well, we'll talk about it later, after.
I'm just, like, wondering, like, if they had to say, like, why, or if they just were like, no. Like, can't come, sorry. So the Sodders then went to a private investigator named C.C. Tinsley. He found out some stuff. I guess the insurance salesman that had threatened George was a member of the coroner's jury that deemed the fire accidental.
Okay.
I guess he also had been previously employed by George. Like, I think George is someone that, like, kind of has a lot of people under him, you know?
Right.
And he was somehow a co-signer on the family's home insurance, which he actually increased from $1,500 to $1,750 before the fire, without George and Jenny's consent or knowledge. And I don't know how that became a thing. It was not explained at all. But that's weird.
Yeah.
Detective Tinsley also found out something interesting about the fire chief. So the chief claimed that there were supposedly no remains found at all, right? Well, he supposedly confided in someone that he discovered a human organ in the ashes. He hid it inside a dynamite box and buried it at the scene. When the Sodders found this out, they dug up the box and took it to a local funeral director who concluded it was a beef liver, untouched by any fire at all.
What the heck?
The Sodder family soon heard rumors that the fire chief was telling people that the organ wasn't found at the fire at all, and instead he buried the beef liver in the rubble in the hopes that finding any remains at all would help the family just feel better and stop the investigation.
What the heck? This whole thing is just
insane.
twisted.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and of all things, like, how is an organ gonna survive and not, like, a bone?
Like
know?
they're not gonna notice that? Like, that would be my first question. Like,
Bro.
why is this not burnt?
Yeah. That would be, like, the easiest thing to burn, I feel
Yeah.
like. In 1949, the Sodders decided to start a new search at the fire scene. They brought in a Washington, D.C. pathologist named Oscar B. Hunter. He did a thorough investigation and uncovered multiple small objects, including damaged coins, a partly burned dictionary, and several shards of vertebrae.
Fuck.
He sent the bones to the Smithsonian Institution, which then issued this report. The human bones consist of 4 lumbar vertebrae belonging to one individual. Since the transverse recesses are fused, the age of this individual should have been 16 or 17 years. The top limit of age should be about 22, since the centra, which normally fuse at 23, are still unfused. On this basis, the bones show greater skeletal maturation than one would expect for a 14-year-old boy, which was the age of Maurice, who was the oldest child supposedly to die in the fire. So, I mean, obviously 16 and 17 isn't that much older than 14.
Right.
But basically saying, like, this vertebrae looks to be too old for anyone that supposedly died there. The report also said that the vertebrae showed no evidence of being exposed to fire.
Oh my gosh.
So does that mean, like, does someone go and, like, get a vertebrae somewhere somehow and put it there? I don't know. It's weird. And it said, quote, "It is very strange that no other bones were found in the allegedly careful excavation of the basement of the house. Given the relatively short time the fire burned, one would expect to find the full skeletons of the 5 children rather than only 4 vertebrae."
Yeah, that's weird.
It's very, very weird.
Yeah, it's off.
So, the Smithsonian's findings prompted 2 hearings at the state capitol in Charleston, after which Governor Okie L. Patterson and State Police Superintendent W.E. Burchett told the Sodders their search was hopeless and declared the case closed.
Just straight up. Yeah, just straight up.
This did not discourage George and Jenny, though, as they had a billboard erected on Route 16 and passed out flyers offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of their children. And they soon increased the amount to $10,000. So multiple tips came in. A letter arrived from a woman in St. Louis saying the oldest girl, Martha, was in a convent there. Another tip came in from Texas, where someone said they were in a bar and heard an incriminating conversation about a Christmas Eve fire long ago in West Virginia. And someone in Florida claimed they were staying with all the kids were staying with a distant relative of the mom, Jenny. George would travel the country to investigate every single lead that they got, but always came home without any answers.
Just so frustrating.
It's so infuriating. He's trying so hard. They believe so hard their kids are out there. In the late 60s, so like over 20 years after the fire, Jenny received an envelope postmarked in Kentucky. Inside was a photo of a man in his mid-20s. On the back was a handwritten note that read, Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. ILIL boys. A90132 or 35.
No.
Yep. George and Jenny said this man undoubtedly looked like a grown-up version of their son, who was, I think, 9 at the time when the fire happened. So they hired another private investigator and sent him to Kentucky. But unfortunately, they never heard from him again, like at all.
The guy?
Yeah, I feel like he just like scammed them or something. Like, people suck. So instead of like releasing like the town or like the message on the card to like, you know, just keep him safe just in case, the Sodders just updated their billboard to include the new image of the person that's potentially their son. In 1968, George spoke with the Associated Press. He said, "It's hard sometimes to get sleep at night, just wondering about them. After all, if someone wanted to get me, why did they get my family too? It's like hitting a rock wall. We can't go any further. We just don't know what to do now." It's so sad, babe.
It is freaking sad.
This man, he loved his kids so much. So George died just a year after this interview, still hoping for any insight on what happened to his kids. Jenny erected a fence around her property and began adding rooms to her home, building layer after layer between herself and the outside world. Since the fire, she had worn only black as a sign of mourning, and she continued to do so until her own death in 1989, which is when the billboard finally came down. The surviving Sodder children continued the investigation and came up with some of their own theories. One was that the local mafia branch had tried to recruit George and he declined, or they tried to extort money from him and he refused, or their younger siblings could have been kidnapped by someone they knew. They could have like come in the unlocked door, you know, told the kids that there was a fire going on and offered to take them someplace safe, or the kids could have perished in the fire. This case has still not been solved, but until the day that Sylvia, the youngest surviving Sodder child, died in 2021 at the age of 79, this family never gave up hope that the rest of their family was still out there. And that was the story of the missing Sodder children.
That's the saddest story.
It is devastating.
My first thought was like, you know, they were just targeted for him being outspoken about
Right.
disliking a dictator.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like revenge.
And then I was like, well, what kind of people would, you know? And like then I thought the mafia.
Well, and then this is literally at the end of World War II.
Right. And then I thought, but why would the mafia care so much about Mussolini?
I mean, I don't know. I don't
like
have like a lot of insight on that.
I think they're their own like entity,
but
against the government.
If they're still from Italy, like they still have opinions of like the political people, right?
Yeah, but a dictator, the mafia.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the mafia did work with Mussolini. I'm
Right.
not sure.
Right. Or I mean, there could have been some other beef. You know, like the other kid's theory of like they tried to like extort money from him or something, you know.
Right.
Basically, like,
I
he
think-
could have crossed the mafia in the wrong way somehow, and
Yeah.
this was their payback.
Yeah.
But we don't know, and, like, nobody knows, and it's a hard thing to prove now, you know?
It's just a story.
Because Sylvia, she was the youngest one, I think, out of all the kids, even the ones that, you know, supposedly died in the fire, and she died in 2021, so it is, like, very, I mean, they definitely still could be alive. Some of them, I believe, would be in their 80s and 90s, but there's a very good chance that if they did grow up and have full lives, that they're not here anymore.
Right.
And so it's like, how do you even begin to try and solve this, like, cold case, which isn't even really, like, a cold case. It just was, like, to the family.
Right. It's
know?
freaking sad.
Oh, my God.
Like, just not having answers like that. Like,
I like, wanted to have a more, like, fun and, like, entertaining story after last week, but...
Hey,
Thanks, Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jamie.
It was still a good story, and I'm glad that we covered it, but I'm tired of being sad, so...
Man.
If anyone has any, like, really fun and, like any ghosts that like to play, like, jokes on you or something for next week, I'm down for that kind of story. I need a break.
Yeah, I get it. Well, that was a good story.
Thank you.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Good. I've said it before. Obviously, I like get interested in all of these stories, but some of them really like grip me.
Yeah,
so I put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, they are a little. It's just too much.
Yeah.
You know, but it is what it is. That's the point of the podcast.
Yeah.
I try to liven it up a little bit.
I know.
But it does feel inappropriate
at
sometimes.
some point. Once you get to like 5 children might have perished in a fire, and I don't feel
I'm
good
like,
cracking
perish
jokes.
like a church.
Yeah, we keep it lively when we can, but we gotta be respectful.
Blake
at some
Lively.
Point. Nope.
Okay, yeah, fuck that bitch.
Anyways, do you want to go see if it's snowing and then watch your soccer game?
Yeah, because the soccer game just started.
Oh my god, we missed kickoff, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
No.
You see, now it's coming up on Apple TV. It was not. It was not there.
Conspiracy.
You saw that.
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
she looked up her soccer game on Apple TV that she knew was like coming up tonight, and it wasn't like in the lineup. But I googled it, and it was right there on Google saying they were playing.
It's because it's not on Apple TV. It's on. Well, it's on Fox Sports, but like Sports 2 or something like that. But
Right.
apparently it's finally on.
Apparently.
And I'm missing it. Oh my god.
Okay. Well, then we're going to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's story. We love you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Keep sending in those stories, suggestions, personal stories, your favorite sandwich spot, favorite coffee order. And she clearly just can't wait to get downstairs. So we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank
Have
you
a
for
wonderful
existing.
week.
We love you.
We love
see you.
you.
Thank you for the support.
And
Stay
spooky. Go!